Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Erin Wynn, and I have responsibility for our global customer experience and global people experience here at WeLocalize. Smith and I are going to chat today about the future of localization. And since he's such a great predictor of such things, we're going to have a chat around where can we go from here. So over to you, Smith, and for a quick introduction.
Thanks, Erin, and hi, everyone. I'm Smith Ewell, the CEO and co-founder of WeLocalize, having started WeLocalize many years ago with my wife, Julia, after we met and had no common language. So we wound up in this business by necessity.
That's such a fun story. If you haven't heard the whole story, you should. There's plenty of opportunities with recordings and just chats with Smith. So hopefully in the future we can get together and share those stories in person. So Smith, we've spent a lot of time over the last 12 months, 18 months, but really over the entirety of WeLocalize's history, focusing on the customer and put customer first. But in the last 18 months, we've been focused a lot on where can I go from here and where can I go from here for our people and our customers. So let's chat a little bit about what that might look like for a customer and also what we've experienced with some of the customers over the last 18 months with respect to our capture of data, data analytics, platform. I think it would be good to spend some time today and chat about that.
Well, as you know, Erin, because you lead our people experience, we've got two simple goals that apply to all people, whether it be our staff, whether it be our customers, whether it be our partners. Where can I go from here? And demonstrating that we care. And of course, for all of us through the pandemic, that first question, where can I go from here, is top of mind as many reassessed where we could work, how we could work, and that's still going on right now. When we look at where we can go from here, if I had a crystal ball, what do I see in the future? Let me just touch on a few things. First of all, the pandemic also accelerated the use of digital tools. Here we are on video now, but it's not just video, it's all of the different systems we use to exchange information and making sure that that's digital, because if it's manual, of course, it's cumbersome and not easy to use. So what's the first thing for the future that I would suggest to everyone? Two words: data science. And what does that mean? Practically, it means you've got access to an analyst with so much data, and many of it's new. How should we interpret it? Because the automation is not going to replace human judgment, but the data is going to help inform it. So if you've got an access to a data science to help understand what kind of data is available and use that to inform good decisions, I think that's going to be a part of all of our daily jobs, things that we're looking at every day.
I think it was 2015, you did a keynote at LokeWorld, and I believe it was on predicting the future. Could have you predicted where we are today? And are there similarities to what we talked about then and what you talked about then to where we are today? And have we recognized some of those predictions that you had at that time?
Of course, no one could have predicted the incredible tragedy that the pandemic has brought to the world, and we're certainly doing our best to keep people safe and work through that. Many of the things that I talked about 5 years ago, and I use the analogy of Uber and Uber's ability to make the right match at the right time and get you from one point to the other in a very easy way. And I think the same applies to our industry. And it's that experience that was so simple and such a breakthrough, and why Uber has been successful. So how do I look at the future in that context? I look at it as the convergence of a whole variety of different content types, again, because the pandemic has accelerated the digital transformation of everything we do, which means these content types are all digital. What does convergence mean, and how would we consider it going forward? Well, if we take product localization as an example, and the traditional silo that may be present and how that operates, and product marketing, which also in many companies is separate, those are converging around a multilingual user experience. And it's the user experience where we see the pivot in the industry, so that the experience around the translation quality of all those different content types, and that is absolutely important, how that not only is a linguistic quality experience, but an overall quality experience across, whether it be mobile, whether it be desktop, whether it be video, whether it be voice, which is increasingly growing and another point for the future. All of those different content types being consistent with the customer's voice, of course, that's multilingual, across all the different devices, so that it's easy, that it's amazing, and that's consistent, which are our goals as a company.
One of the things that we also started around that time, maybe in 2016, was our platform and creating a platform. I think we started calling it almost like a Lego system, where we could put all the Lego pieces together, and here we are. I still can't believe it's been 5 or 6 years since we started on that journey, and where and how imperative the platform is for any customer and for us internally, as you're talking about connecting all of us, connecting all of the, I mean, we all talk about connectors all the time, but varying kind of connectors. You and I are connectors, our customers are connectors. And we need a common, you speak about a common language, and I see our platform being that common language between us and our customers and our people, and brings us all together. And we've really had I think bolstered that platform. Do you agree, over the last 18 months in connecting us all and our customers, and leading us to be more predictive, because we're able to capture the data of every single project, every single translator, all the things that you as customers ask us for out there, we're now capturing in this platform. So maybe share a little bit more about how instrumental that is in our future and in our customers' future, and our ability to lead and predict.
Well, I agree, because the hybrid work environment we're in now is only accelerating the need for all of these tools in a common platform to be able to operate together in the spirit of interoperability. So what does that mean for the future? It means that if we've got a variety of content systems, which that's what we're talking about here, multilingual content in any form, and being able to take text to speech, speech to text, captioning in a video, text in an advertisement, text related to what might appear on the mobile screen about the product. And all of those come from different systems, come from a platform. So we've invested very heavily at WeLocalize to tie those systems together, so that it's easy to have any type of content across that whole spectrum go in the platform, get processed, of course, transformed into multiple languages, and come out again in an ever faster way. So that's the benefit we're looking to see, that we can improve speed, time to market, of course, efficiency, while at the same time maintaining quality. But this is also the interesting thing to consider for the future. Our industry has, of course, naturally been centered around linguistic quality. With the kind of platform that we've built at WeLocalize, our OWL platform, the One WeLocalize platform, We're now able through what I would describe as the third big macro thing to consider for the future is AI. With the data in the platform, we can then begin to tell each other and our customers not what happened, but what might happen, and being able to look at quality, not just from a linguistic perspective, but a risk perspective, meaning what are the patterns telling us in terms of time of the week, Fridays versus Mondays, in terms of workload. Is it total number of projects? Is it total number of words? Is it total number of different content types? All on the shoulders of one resource that create different risk profiles? Or is it something else? With the data now in the platform, we can use AI to help predict what the best match, again, back to the Uber example, for the right person, the right point in time, the easiest way to get from point A to point B.
Yeah, I also find it's interesting too, just across the years, it's the same themes. It's how we continue to evolve to deliver those with speed. Is that what we hear every single day is easy and speed. And I think that is also what we'll continue to see. It just gets faster and faster, as you've talked about and we've talked about, the serving up of that information in the different mediums that it gets served up, and the speed. And the more humans you have in a process, as we know, the slower it might be. So do you think that, how do you think and I've been thinking about that, how do you think our platform is going to evolve to, do you think we'll have more bots? We already run some processes with bots right now where no human touches it, and moving to a touchless production for us internally. Is that something we see for the future? To be able to service our customers? Are you out there in the audience that want us to be faster and same quality? And
the future will be what we describe as touchless. What does that mean? You know, Aaron, that I gave the company a moonshot goal to become touchless, which means that we're not using offline trackers. We're not using offline tools. We don't have to send an email back and forth to get something done. It means that the systems, through AI and automation in the data, can then empower people in new ways, because we're talking about new approaches to how work gets done, not the elimination of people through automation. I don't see that happening, but I do see new work styles that are related to more of an architect of a program rather than pushing files around back and forth. So that's how we look at touchless as one of our moonshot goals as a company.
So maybe this is a good place to start wrapping up. But if we look at this in a year, what 3 things could we look back on and say, yep, those happened? Smith had his crystal ball out and he predicted the future, or even in 2 years? What 3 things?
I think the pandemic has accelerated what was already happening in 3 areas. First, data science, as we mentioned, and getting access to an analyst in your team or in your company. The second, content convergence, whether it be video, audio, all the things that we mentioned, and how our systems or our platform enabling a multilingual user experience across all those different content types, not just pieces. And then the third area is what we call performance linguistics, which is looking at language not just from a translation quality perspective, but from a perspective, again, through AI, how is it delivering improved performance? For example, in SEO, or in ads, or in user experience, in this pivot towards user experience in that context. That's what I see coming.
Great. Well, I see customer visits coming again in the future. So we hope to be able to see some of you out in the audience in 22. And again, we hope that you all stay well. And thanks for sharing with us, Smith. And thanks for everybody or thanks to everybody for sharing your time with us. Hope to see you all soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.